There is one main reason why your feet are turned outwards like a duck, and I'm going to show you how to fix it. It's important to understand why our feet are actually turning outwards like a duck, because the more we can understand this, the more you'll actually be able to sense how to fix this issue. And what happens is over time, our body starts to compensate because we are lacking something. And what we're lacking in this scenario is internal rotation, primarily at the foot. Internal rotation is needed to actually produce force. So how does our feet over time go outwards like a duck? Well, sure, this could start at the hip, whether you are in too much external or internal rotation, but the one main thing that's in common is your tibia, your shin bone, will be externally rotated, because as the tibia externally rotates, the foot will follow. The reason why we're doing this is because we are trying to find internal rotation as a compensation. So when our feet are outwards like a duck, we can then start to sense the arch of the foot, the inside portion of the foot, to push off. But our body's designed to pronate, to flatten, so that we can actually produce that force to then propel off. But in order for our foot to pronate, our tibia needs to internally rotate. When our tibia internally rotates, then it acts on the foot to pronate and flatten the foot to produce force into the ground and then propel and kick off. So really what we need to do is retrain and teach the tibia how to internally rotate so that it can actually pronate the foot. But over time, when we are stuck in this compensation for so long, our connective tissue, our fascia, starts to wind and grip and lock us in that alignment. So it can be very challenging for us to start feeling these slight adjustments and motions if we don't actually release it. So step one is to release that fascia, release the connective tissue that's locking us out. And then we need to start retraining tibia internal rotation and then actually sense what that feels like to genuinely pronate the foot, not just compensate and tip that foot in. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to decompress your connective tissue around the tibia so that you can internally rotate the tibia to allow pronation of the foot. But then I'm also going to show you some exercises, some movements to now re-educate the body on how to do this so that we can stick and make these long-lasting changes. So let's get started. For the first position, we're going to be doing a fascia decompression technique, and you can either use a rolled up towel, make sure that it's rolled up pretty dense so that we can actually get that pressure we're looking for. If you have a block from Block Therapy, this is what I'm going to be using. I would highly recommend using this. It's just going to be a lot more effective, but starting with the towel is still very, very good, and it will be beneficial. Now, there's two different perspectives here, because you can have a lot of buildup in the medial portion of the calf, and this can push the tibia into external rotation. But I've also found that the lateral portion of the calf gets really tight and dense, because when the tibia and the foot externally rotate, but the foot is everted, meaning tipping in, this can cause a lot of strain and buildup of compression on the lateral portion of the calf. So we're going to release the upper outer portion of the calf in this position. So whether you're using a towel or a block, I'm going to have my block on its side. I'm going to position right where I demonstrated, and this is my starting position. So I'm just resting my top leg. I'm working on my right leg on purpose because my right leg is more externally rotated. The tibia and the foot is more externally rotated than my left. So I'm going to be spending more time on this side. You can absolutely do both. And then I'm going to bring my opposite leg on top like this, and you can just start up on your elbow. And the first thing we want to do is connect to our breath. Make sure that we're breathing with that diaphragm and the entire rib cage is expanding as we breathe. If your shoulder gets a little fatigued, you can bring yourself and just be flat. But the biggest thing here is we need to be relaxed. The more relaxed we are, the more the tissue will start to relax and release. And that's exactly what we want. So you might start feeling some pain or some restriction or a little discomfort, and that's totally normal. It's like getting a deep tissue massage. It can be a little painful, but make sure you're breathing through that. At any time it's too intense, just ease off slightly, reconnect at a bit of a less intensity so that you can follow your breath here. Now, we don't want to be searching fast. I don't want you to be rocking forwards and backwards quickly like this. I want you to stay isometrically in this position and very slowly start searching. So you can search towards the front, or you can very slowly search towards the back. A general rule of thumb is the slower you move, the deeper and the more release that you're actually going to get in the targeted area. So the other rule is you got to spend a minimum of 3 minutes here. We want that tissue to release. There's so much tension here that it can take some time. So you can spend 5 minutes, even longer if that feels appropriate. And then once you spent that time here, you can exhale up and off. But again, it's important that you're slowly moving and searching and unwinding and decompressing that area. So once you've spent that time there, we're going to now move on to an exercise. For this next exercise, we're now going to start teaching and educating the tibia to now internally rotate to act on pronation of the foot. This is really going to help straighten things out here. And all you're going to need is a sock. I just have the classic Puma sock from Costco that I know everybody has at home. And I'm just folding it into thirds like this. Now to get started, all we're going to do is work. If we're working on the right side, we're going to have the right foot forwards. I'm going to be positioning the sock just under the ball of the big toe, not under the big toe. We do not want it on the big toes or any of the toes at all, but under the ball of the big toe, and then also the arch a bit there as well. And this is just going to give us a little sense of what it feels like, and we have something to at least push into to give us feedback if we're actually pronating the foot properly. Also, what this is going to do is raise the ball of the big toe up a little bit so that it can actually stretch and flatten the foot more so we feel it. So all we're really going to be doing is starting back and then moving our weight forwards and back. But it really comes down to the cues and what you're feeling. This is an exercise where it all comes down to feel. So let's bring that opposite leg behind us, and I want you to start by building weight into that right heel, because this is the first phase that we need to do, the first phase of the gait cycle, but also we need to feel the heel contact and the ball of the big toe, also the outside of the foot, the fifth metatarsal head there as well. But I really want you to start by emphasizing that weight on the heel. We also want a negative shin angle, so we want the knee slightly behind us so we have space to actually move into. So as we start here, there's going to be weight building in the heel, building in the heel. As I start bending my knee to bring me forwards, I'm not hinging or doing anything weird. I'm just bending my knee forwards over my big toe. I want you to start sensing that the foot is flattening and pushing into the sock. And once you start feeling that, now that's causing internal rotation and pronation of the foot, which is huge, which is something that a lot of us are lacking. So you can also have a wall, I almost fell, or a pillar or something to hold on to, but we want to just get to that end range. And let's just start by hanging out here and just feel and sense that the arch is actually flattening into the sock. Almost surrender and give the foot permission to flatten into that sock. As that knee goes over that toe, make sure your weight is shifted to that right side and just feeling that. And then I want you to come back and then bring it back to a negative shin angle, and then your foot should be supinating, which is building that arch. So then we have space to now pronate. So perform nice slow reps doing this, and you're going to notice a big difference. There's a lot of exercises out there teaching you internal rotation of the tibia, which can absolutely be helpful, but I found that releasing and then actually giving a realistic exercise where we're actually mimicking similarly to walking or running or standing, that we can feel the changes right away, and that's going to genuinely change the shape of our fascia, of our tibia, and of our foot. So I would perform nice and slow, 5 repetitions, do 2 to 3 sets of those. 1 repetition is going front and back, and you can hang out there in that isometric stance and just stay there, breathe, and allow that foot to pronate. But you gotta practice this stuff. We have to start retraining things. That can take some time. So this may take a couple weeks to start noticing some changes, and that's okay and normal. So for the routine breakdown, all you're gonna be doing is that first block therapy position where you are going to spend 3 to 5 minutes on that lateral calf. Then you're gonna be doing 5 repetitions of this exercise I showed you, and then do that about 2 to 3 times per day as well. So over the next couple weeks, hopefully you start seeing some changes. You might even see changes sooner if you're lucky. So let me know in the comments below if this has helped you out, and I'll see you in the next video.